Michael, have you ever spoken out against anti-homosexual laws in Saudi Arabia or any other Gulf countries?
Yes.
But they're our allies. Why do you use this bogus argument? The British government allies perfectly fine with lots of repressive governments who treat gay people badly. You know, and I know.
I am more than happy to, whether it's Uganda or Saudi Arabia. But I'm merely pointing out
so we bombing Saudi Arabia?
The Iranian government that so many people are anxious to find excuses for.
Michael, should we bomb Saudi Arabia?
Is also one.
Can we come back?
Should we bomb Saudi Arabia? It's a simple question.
No, well, Saudi Arabia has not said that it's intent on wiping out another
so you've
nation.
moved the goalpost. Just now you said it was about gay people. I said Saudi Arabia treats gay people badly. Now you've moved the goalpost. Pick one.
I'm pointing out that...
Mr. Gove, do you wish you'd properly prepared for this debate now?
3.67%. That's the number that ends the whole argument, and Michael Gove has no answer for it. Watch what Mehdi Hasan does here. He doesn't shout. He builds a timeline. Obama signs the Iran nuclear deal. Enrichment capped at 3.67%. 274 international inspectors on the ground. The whole program under a microscope. Then Trump tears it up in 2018. His own defense secretary, James Mattis, said don't. It's working. Trump did it anyway. And where are we now? Iran enriching at 60%, inspectors gone, uranium unaccounted for. Mehdi lays that chain down link by link and asks Gove the only question that matters. Who created this crisis? And if you've ever been told that the responsible people are the ones who back the bombs, I want you to watch what Gove reaches for when the timeline corners him. He can't argue the numbers, so he pivots to Iran hanging gay men from cranes. And Mehdi springs the trap instantly. Have you ever spoken out against the same treatment in Saudi Arabia? Gove admits Saudi's an ally. So should we bomb Saudi Arabia too? Watch the goalpost move in real time, from gay rights to wiping out Israel in a single breath. Mehdi catches it midair. Pick one, he says. Gove can't. Then comes the kill shot, and it's not even Mehdi's. It's the room. An audience member stands up and points out that Israeli strikes hit an Iranian prison during this very conflict, killing dozens, including LGBTQ people Gove was just pretending to care about. The man used gay Iranians as a prop, and someone in the crowd handed the prop back to him broken. If you're tired of watching war get sold by people who can't survive a simple timeline, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We keep the receipts in order and we read them out loud. I'm Neil. This is The Honest Perspective. And 3.67% is not a talking point. It's a fact Gove couldn't touch. Let's get into it.
I can answer that question. A president who I was not a big fan of, but did something very good in his last year in office, which the UK government also supported. I believe you were in the government that supported him when he did it, which is Barack Obama and the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear agreement, which actually put Iran's nuclear program under inspection, under control. How much uranium were they allowed to enrich under Barack Obama's deal that the British government of Theresa May supported, or David Cameron, I think it would have been still then in 2015? 3.67% was the level of enrichment that the US State Department and the IAEA signed off on under the Iran nuclear deal. Barack Obama did that deal. Donald Trump doesn't like Barack Obama, so as soon as he heard that Obama did that deal, he tore up the deal in 2018. His own defense secretary, James Mattis, said, don't do it, it's working. Some Israeli generals said, don't tear it up. Trump tore up that deal, and that's where we end up today. That's exactly why they have nuclear enrichment at 60%, 400 kilograms of it. The entire crisis in Iran was created by a reckless, impulsive Trump throwing away that document that Barack Obama and the British government worked on. You were in the government.
How can you blame America for
Iran
enriching uranium?
Because there was a deal.
It's the choice of the Iranian leaders. It's the choice of people whose response to public displays of homosexuality is hanging gay men from cranes.
Michael, have you ever spoken out against anti-homosexual laws in Saudi Arabia or any other Gulf countries?
Yes.
But they're our allies. Why do you use this bogus argument? The British government allies perfectly fine with lots of repressive governments who treat gay people badly. You know, and I know.
I am more than happy to, whether it's Uganda or Saudi Arabia. But I'm merely pointing out.
So we bombing Saudi Arabia?
The
Are we bombing Saudi
Iranian
Arabia?
government that so many people
Should we bomb
are
Saudi
anxious
Arabia?
to find excuses for
Michael, should we
is
bomb Saudi Arabia?
also one.
Can we come back?
Should we bomb Saudi Arabia? It's a
Hang on
simple
minute.
question.
No,
Hang on a
well,
minute.
Saudi Arabia has not said that it's intent on wiping out
Oh,
another
so you've
nation.
moved the goalpost. Just now you said it was about gay people. I said Saudi Arabia treats gay people badly. Now you've moved the goalpost. Pick one. Pick one.
I'm
argument.
pointing out the nature of the Iranian regime that you seem so anxious, Mehdi, to defend.
let's
I've
come
not
back to
said a
that. Hang
word
on,
of defense of
hang
Iran.
on a
You
minute,
defended
Mehdi.
the Saudi
Hang
government's
on.
treatment. I didn't
Mehdi,
say a
hang on.
word
I
about
I
it.
come
haven't
back.
defended the Saudi
They all
I
heard
want
you
to
just
come
move
back.
the goalpost.
I want to come back to this
I
question.
just find it instructive that
Michael,
Mehdi is so
Michael,
anxious.
Hold on.
hang on,
No,
Mehdi
he
and
said
Michael.
no, Ritalin,
Hang
just
on.
made a
Draw your
choice.
own conclusions, ladies and
So hold on. William Hague, who was the leader of your party, the foreign secretary, wrote an article in the Times where you used to write, saying that this action will more likely lead to a bomb than anything else. Is he also an Iran stooge, Michael?
So that's the specific point I wanted to put to
is
you,
a
Michael.
ridiculous
Are we in a
claim.
position where nuclear proliferation is more likely rather than less
100%.
likely?
No.
That's just
And
flat
why?
wrong.
Why would you say
The
that?
IEA disagrees with you.
Because action has been taken by Donald Trump to deal with a rogue regime
Where's the
run
uranium?
by ideological fanatics
Where's
who
the
wanted
uranium?
to eliminate.
Where's the uranium, Michael?
Who wanted to
Hang on,
eliminate
let him speak.
Israel.
But
Where's
you
the
could,
uranium?
Mehdi, you could argue.
Well, again, maybe your friends in the Tehran regime can
wow.
tell you because they won't tell me.
Wow. Wow. How are they my friends, Michael? Is it my name?
I'm
my
still
skin
wai- I'm
color?
still
My
waiting.
religion? Which one is it?
I'm still waiting for any criticism of them.
I'm happy to criticize them. I think Iran is a
good.
country with a horrible human rights abuse and shouldn't be developing nuclear weapons, which the US government, by the way, of Trump said they are not developing nuclear weapons. You lied to the audience at the podium when you said they were developing nuclear weapons. Tulsi Gabbard said in March they're not developing nuclear weapons. I guess she's also an Iran stooge. Trump is also an Iran stooge. I would point out to you, very
Why were
important
they
point.
enriching
Very
the
important point.
uranium?
Very important point. There were 274 monitors from the IEA in Iran up until Trump struck Iran. They were looking at nuclear facilities every day. How many monitors are in there today? How many IEA monitors in Iran today, Michael? Zero. None. Trump's made the world less safe. To go
If
back
you
to our
believe... I don't know whether it's naivety or misdirection, but if you believe that IAEA monitors are the way to ensure that Iran is not going to develop a nuclear weapon, when you've already acknowledged that the rate at which uranium was being enriched was significantly higher over the...
Because he tore up the deal, the guy you
over
loved.
No. It's because of the intent of Iran. It is because of the intent of
people
that
have-
Mehdi,
regime.
you have to acknowledge
Yeah,
that
well-
what we've seen, with or without Trump,
Yeah.
is the limits of multilateral organizations.
How?
And actually, you've got a president who is willing to grasp difficult issues and take them in a direction of his choosing.
Rachel, I respect that you're the moderator and you have to ask that question, but you know very well, every non-proliferation expert agrees that those strikes did not help with non-proliferation. The IEA have come out and said it didn't help. And by the way, the
What did the
uranium,
Secretary
the uranium
General
is,
of NATO
the
say?
uranium is missing. You mean the former Dutch Prime Minister who sends text to Donald Trump in caps locks, sucking up to him like you do? Great, what a credible source you have there. Most nuclear experts look at the uranium missing and say, hold on, we had a deal where they were enriching at 3.67%, supported by David Cameron and Michael Gove, supported by Barack Obama. Trump tore it up. They started enriching more. Then we bombed them, so they hid the uranium. Given we bombed them, they're more likely to now want a nuclear weapon because they see North Korea, where Trump loves North Korea. They say, we want to be like North Korea.
One more question.
Trump loves North Korea. Do you love North Korea?
One more question to you, Michael.
Your
I'm going
friends
to
in Pyongyang.
open it to the floor, which is, Michael, if this is a president who wants to end wars, why do you think he treats his allies so inconstantly, so unpredictably? And where does that leave? If you were in government now, how would you handle President Trump?
Well, the first thing to say is, contrary to Mehdi's mischaracterization, when it comes to multilateral organizations that have kept the peace, I would prefer NATO over the IAEA any day. And the current Secretary General of NATO, I know that Mehdi might think that being Dutch Prime Minister is somehow a disabling
But he's
factor.
not a non-proliferation expert, Michael, is my point. The IEA chief is.
Well, NATO has more successfully kept the peace than the IAEA for decades.
Well, the IAEA
and I
was
think
right
that the
about Iraq
Secretary
and
General of NATO may know rather more about diplomacy in the military than either Mehdi or I, and it's his conclusion that the strike on Iran made the world safer. So
And if you could answer the
I merely
question,
point
if
that
you were in
out.
government now, how would you deal with a president who is not always very kind, to put it politely, to his allies?
In the same way as I would have treated President Obama or President Clinton or President Nixon or any US president. You have to recognize that an American president is naturally going to pursue the national interest of their own nation. And where someone is leading that country who is inclined to be in the historic tradition of an ally, work with them, but where you disagree, say so.
Okay, now I'm going to open it up to all of you for questions. I know there's lots of real passion out there. Please ask questions, don't want speeches. Michael has to go at 7:30, so if you've got a question specifically for him, that would be great. I'll begin with those. I'm going to start, I can see a couple of hands up on the right-hand side, so I'm going to start over here. I think you're going to go to the first one. There's a couple at the back there, and then we'll go round. And I know you guys, I will come to you up there as well. I'm going to take two, yes.
Thank you very much. My question is for Michael, who mentioned Iranian gays. You said that the Iranian regime treating them badly. Yes, very badly, even sometimes put them in the jail. And during this strike, Israeli government striked Iranian prisons. During the visit time, killed most than 50 persons in one go. Most of them, the families, and they were LGBTQ community. Yep. How killing gays are helping them? How you're mentioning Iranian gays now in this conversation?
Okay. And there's a question at the back there as well. If you can ask questions, that would be great. There's a gentleman with his hand up right there.
Mr. Gove, do you wish you'd properly prepared for this debate now?
Okay, I'm going to take one more. There's one over there on the right.
Mr. Gove, did I understand you correctly? You said we're not to pass judgment about Mr. Trump based on his morals, but solely based on the outcome of his actions. Is that now, with all the talk about shared value, is that now your view? Morality does a lot of heavy lifting here. Is it an irrelevance, in your opinion, whether a leader of a nation has respect for the rule of law and whether he is a man of integrity?
Okay, thank you. Michael.
Well, on those 3 points, on the first point, it is the case that the Iranian regime has done terrible things to its people, which is why almost every Iranian diaspora organization wants to see it go, and why there was such widespread support for what was, as Mehdi points out, an American assault against Iran, but one which was cheered on the streets by Iranian refugees worldwide. On the second point, I'm prepared for anything, even the criticism that comes from people who disagree with me profoundly. And on the third point, when we're thinking about foreign affairs and diplomacy, of course one can think about a moral dimension, but inevitably, when we're judging whether or not the world is a safer place, one has to look at consequences, events, and numbers rather than passing a moral judgment, because there are very, very few world leaders whom one would happily consider to be eligible either to be one's confessor or one's brother, or whom one would wish to see come home and marry into one's family. It's in the nature of world leaders that they operate, particularly when it comes to diplomacy and conflict, in a morally compromised world. What we therefore need to do is to look clearly at what the difficult alternatives are with which they are dealing, and also look at the consequences of their actions thereby.
Let me respond briefly to two things. One is, on the morality point, I actually agree with Michael. I don't think you can put the morality as a standard. I happen to think it is immoral the way Donald Trump behaves on the international stage when he says he refuses to call Putin a dictator but calls Zelensky a dictator. I have a problem with that. But I agree, it is about actions and consequences. Michael mentioned numbers. I agree, which is why I mentioned the numbers from Yemen, from Gaza, from Iran. I mean, the problem is, Michael likes to use Iran as a prop with which to beat his opponents, but he doesn't actually care about the Iranian people. He said the Iranian people were joyous about these attacks. Actually, the Iranian opposition movements were absolutely opposed to this. Nargis Mohammadi, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, was in prison in Iran, came out and said no. Prominent Iranian dissidents said this is not the way we want to get freedom in our country, on the back of Israeli and American bombs, which killed multiple innocent Iranians. Residential apartment buildings blown up, car bombs going off. If you think that makes the world a safer place, then you really just don't value Iranian life. You don't value Palestinian life. That's the fundamental problem.
Let me start with the move that decided this whole debate, because it's a masterclass in how you actually win an argument, not with volume, with a timeline. Mehdi Hasan doesn't come in swinging insults. He comes in with a chain of dates. 2015, Obama signs the JCPOA. Iran's enrichment capped at 3.67%, signed off by the U.S. State Department, backed by the British government of the day. Cameron, Gove's own side, 274 international inspectors walking Iranian nuclear facilities every single day, the program under a microscope. Then 2018, Trump tears the deal up. And Mehdi drops the detail that turns this from opinion into indictment. Trump's own defense secretary, James Mattis, said, "Don't do it. It's working." He did it anyway. Result, Iran enriching at 60%, 400 kilograms of it, inspectors gone, uranium missing. The entire crisis built by one man throwing away a working document. That's not a hot take. That's a paper trail. And here's why that timeline is lethal. It can't be answered with a slogan. Gove tries anyway. Watch it. He can't touch the 3.67 number, so he swerves. It's the choice of a regime that hangs gay men from cranes. And this is where Mehdi springs the cleanest trap of the night. Have you ever spoken out against the exact same treatment in Saudi Arabia? Gove's answer is the whole game in 4 words. But they're our allies. So Mehdi asks the obvious follow-up. Should we bomb Saudi Arabia then? And now watch the goalpost physically move. Suddenly, it's not about gay people anymore. Now it's about Saudi Arabia not threatening to wipe out Israel. Mehdi catches it mid-flight. You moved the goalpost. Just now it was gay people. Pick one. Gove can't pick one, because neither one was ever a real argument. They were both just clubs to swing at an opponent. I want to be precise about this, because it's the tell that runs through every pro-war performance like this one. The human rights argument only comes out when it's useful. Iran's abuses are real. Nobody sane disputes them. And Mehdi says so directly, he calls Iran a country with horrible human rights abuses that shouldn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the point. He grants it fully, which strips Gove of his only escape route. Because once you admit Iran is repressive, the question isn't, is Iran bad? Everyone agrees it's bad. The question is whether tearing up the inspections regime and dropping bombs made anything safer. And on that, Gove has nothing but the word of a NATO Secretary General and a former Dutch Prime Minister who, as Mehdi puts it, texts Trump in all caps. That's the caliber of evidence propping up a war. Then comes the fact that should stop anybody cold, and it's the one your title is built around. Except the scorched earth here isn't only Mehdi's. It's the room's. An audience member stands up, looks at Gove, and reminds him that during this very conflict, Israeli strikes hit an Iranian prison and killed more than 50 people. And among them were members of the LGBTQ community Gove had just been posturing about 30 seconds earlier. Let that land. He picked up gay Iranians as a rhetorical weapon, and someone in that audience handed it back to him covered in the blood of the exact people he claimed to be defending. There is no recovering from that. And notice, the moderator has to move it along, because there's no answer. There is no sentence Michael Gove can say after that. Now let me bring this all the way down to the ground, because this is where it stops being a debate club scoreboard and starts being real. Mehdi does the thing Gove refuses to do. He names the numbers that have actual bodies attached. Yemen, Gaza, Iran, residential apartment buildings blown up, car bombs going off in a capital city, 50 people dead in a single prison strike. When Gove says, look at the consequences, not the morality, Mehdi turns that exact standard around on him. Fine, let's look at the consequences. They're counted in dead civilians. The professor of realpolitik wants to talk consequences right up until the consequences are corpses, and then suddenly it's back to abstractions about the morally compromised world leaders operate in. That's the dodge. Consequences matter when they're Iran's enrichment percentage. They vanish when they're a family in a flattened apartment building. And here's the deeper thing Mehdi exposes, the part that matters for you specifically. He points out that Gove doesn't actually care about the Iranian people. He uses them as a prop. And he's got the receipt for that too. Gove claimed Iranians were joyous about the attacks. But Narges Mohammadi, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, an actual Iranian dissident who was in an Iranian prison, came out and said no. The real opposition, the people who've suffered most under that regime, said we do not want our freedom delivered on the back of American and Israeli bombs. So the very people Gove claims to speak for are telling him to stop speaking for them. That's the difference between caring about a people and using a people. One listens to them. The other puts words in their mouth to sell a war. Follow the thread underneath all of it, and you find the same machine that's always running. Wars don't get sold to working people on honest ledgers. They get sold on moral theater. The crane, the tyrant, that they hate our values. Precisely because the honest ledger doesn't close. The honest ledger says a working diplomatic deal existed. One man torched it for spite because his predecessor's name was on it. And now there are more centrifuges, fewer inspectors, missing uranium, and fresh graves. Nobody funds that story with the truth. So they reach for the crane. And the bill. The higher instability, the next deployment, the money that doesn't go to your hospital or your kid's school, lands on the people who never got a vote in any of it. So here's where it lands. Gove came in as the grown-up in the room, the man of consequences and hard realism. And he lost. Not because Mehdi was louder, but because every single load-bearing beam of his position was rotten. The timeline was against him. The Saudi hypocrisy was against him. The prison strike was against him. The actual Iranian dissidents were against him. His own party's former foreign secretary, William Hague, wrote that this action makes a bomb more likely, not less. When your own side, the inspectors, the Nobel laureate, and the arithmetic are all telling you the same thing, you don't have an argument. You have a slogan and a crane, 3.67%. Trump tore it up. Mattis said don't. The uranium is missing and the inspectors are gone. Those are the facts, in order, and no amount of moral theater moved a single one of them. If you believe the people selling you, the next war should at least be able to survive a timeline. Subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We keep the receipts in order. We read them out loud. And we don't let anyone use a dead man as a prop and walk away clean. I'm Neil. A working deal, torched for spite. Everything after that was just someone trying to sell you the fire. That's The Honest Perspective, and that's where I'll leave you.